Hey, thanks for calling the Beards and Sundries Market. You've reached Jay. Leave a message after the tone.
Hey, beardos. This is Todd in Washington, D.C., and I hope Jay gets around to adding us to the fucking maps. Anyway, I had a question for Jay. Like you, I do drink Soda Box, and I was just wondering, when you get to the light end of the box, do you tear the box apart and squeeze it straight from the bag like I do? I'm hoping you do. Love you guys. Bye.
And welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Season 3, Episode 9 of Beards and Sundries.
9 as in...
Ooh, 999-2242 with a 405 area code. It's our hotline.
Ooh, it's the hottest line of all. But, you guys, that means it's time for another lunch break here at Beards and Sundries, the shop where 3 gay men with beards do inventory on a new sundry in each episode.
My name is Jay, and when I was 5, I would fucking devour some Fruity Pebbles while watching Looney Tunes.
And I'm Anthony, and I can't be the only 90s kid with an unhealthy crush on Goliath from Gargoyles. The pecs.
Maybe.
Rock hard. And I'm Joe, and I had an embarrassingly large number of gay awakenings due to some very creative animators in the 90s. But that means that today's sundry item is classic cartoons. That's right, Beardos. The 3 of us grew up in the golden era of cartoons, and I will die on that hill. Whether it be Nicktoons, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, or even the classic free entertainment provided by those lonely school days after school on PBS. We grew up enjoying some primo content for sure. Now, this week, Anthony has a homebrewed game for us that should be a lot of fun, but before we get too far into it, how about this week's voicemail, Todd?
Todd, I'm so excited that you called and left another voicemail.
Todd was spicy today.
Yes, he was.
Also, check the website, Todd. It's ready. Your name is on there. I did this
The
whole special
district.
call out. The whole district. You've got a call out box.
We were all district for you, Todd.
Also, I'm pretty sure we have videographic evidence of Jay pulling his wine bag out of the box to drink it.
Oh yeah. I would never waste a drop. If you are not pulling your wine bag out of the box, I don't know what to tell you. Something's wrong with you. You should go fix
Jay
that.
definitely knows how to pull his bag out of the box.
Boom!
When it's pretty much empty.
It's a little light.
Oh, well, thank you for that voicemail.
Yes, we always appreciate it.
Let us know what color your hanky is this week.
Before we move on to the episode proper, we should address something that that we said in a previous episode that turned out to be racist, and we didn't think about it, but once it was brought to our attention, it was, it's racist.
It was like extremely obvious, and then I was really disappointed with myself that I've gone this many years and didn't notice that was a racist thing. But yeah, on our toxic masculinity episode, I definitely referenced the term rice burners, which I didn't even think how trashy that is. So my apologies.
Yeah, we apologize, Beardos.
Yeah, super. Wasn't intending that, and that is now in our list of make sure we don't say. And if you ever hear anything else that you want to call out, please do.
It's a term that we grew up using for cars like that, and, as 3 white men, we never really thought about it the other way. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, and we're definitely going to grow from it and get better from here on out.
For sure.
Do make sure if you hear us say something like that, let us know, because we want to know.
Unless it's about boomers, that's a different story. But
No
anything
apologies for that.
anything actually offensive, we definitely want to make sure we clarify that we're not intentionally mean. We're just ignorant.
Anyways, before we get too lost in the sauce, Joe, can I get classic tricks and Saturday morning cartoons in the Sundries aisle.
You can, and we still carry the tricks that are classic fruit shapes, not those stupid little spheres.
The box's expiration date's from 1998.
Shush, 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 shush.
Jay, your box is always expired, but if you guys are new to the show and you're wondering just what the hell a sundry is, the word comes from an Old English word meaning odds and ends. Now, today it's used mainly in retail as a way to describe items that don't typically have a group of their own. So, as three very cartoony gay men with beards, we are using the term to group together the wide range of topics that we cover.
Wow, Joe, that was fantastic.
Incredible.
We snapped on our glasses with you.
I'm leaving that in, Jay.
I know. I was like, what do I have that I can look through?
That whole intro was really a boomerang of information. I don't know. I'm shoehorning in classic cartoons.
Ooh,
Hey, speaking of boomerang,
that was a good one. That was like,
Yeah.
the true classics.
and
like
that's
60s.
genuinely what I grew up with a ton of.
Yep.
Mom loved the Boomerang channel, and she loved exposing us to that. So I had all the old Looney Tunes, the Jetsons, the Flintstones, the Smurfs, all of that stuff that was old cartoons.
Yep, same here.
I loved some of the classic Boomerang cartoons because it was like they were trying to be sitcoms too, so they would have like canned laughter as well. Like, didn't the Flintstones had it, right?
Scooby-Doo
And
had
then
it.
the old
Yes, I was like,
Scooby-Doos had it.
Scooby-Doo definitely. I don't remember the Flintstones. I feel like they might have.
I feel like they always had those animals that were like, it's
Oh,
living, and it's like a
yes.
pelican that's the
That's
toilet or
right.
something.
Because the
really
frog
crazy
or the
shit.
pig would be under the sink or something, or whatever it was. Or am I confusing that with...
No, that's the Flintstones.
Okay. Well, I started wondering if I was confusing that with dinosaurs.
Oh, I forgot about dinosaurs. That's not a cartoon, though. That has to go somewhere else.
It's not. That was also one I watched a lot as a kid, though. But
I liked the Jetsons a lot. It was really cool just seeing all this futuristic stuff, and they all lived in these buildings that were who knows how high off the surface of the earth they were. They were just up in the sky. So I wonder if like pollution has taken over the world and the Jetsons just fixed it.
Ooh,
the
damn.
Jetsons are way ahead.
They're jetting ahead.
There's this Futurama episode where they're at the robot asylum and Rosie from the Jetsons is there, and she's like lost her mind. She's and that's why he had to go. That dog Astro, what a bad dog. He was so dirty, and this boy Elroy too.
She like went insane and killed them all because they were dirty.
Oh, what else came on there? I remember Popeye came on there, and I actually really liked Popeye, but I still remember Mom like pulling out canned spinach and being like, "You can be like Popeye," and I'm like, "Fuck that guy."
I remember eating it for the first time because of Popeye and be like, ooh, no, at what cost? It was my first instance of I could be strong, but at what cost?
I feel like as a kid, that was the argument I had in my head. But at what cost? What cost for this strength?
Not canned spinach.
I remember watching Popeye and thinking, "Oh, who's this Bluto character?" And then being like, "That's pretty cool."
Oh,
It was so easy to get attracted to like the villains in cartoons because they were always drawn as like big evil guys.
Yeah, and I was like, "That's pretty great." I don't see anything evil about that at all.
Like watching Beauty and the Beast and be like, oh, Gaston. No one fucks like Gaston.
Mm-hmm. How many times did you guys freeze the part of the video where he rips his shirt open? He's covered in hair because it was more than once for me. That's for sure.
I never really watched that much when I was a kid.
I watched it with like other kids, and that was really the only time that I watched it. But I do distinctly remember being like, Gaston can get it.
See, this is why I'm so messed up and different. You guys were like, "Oh hell yeah, that hot hairy chested man on Little Mermaid," and I'm like, "Oh hell yeah, Liam Neeson."
Oh god,
Little Mermaid, huh?
Liam Neeson as a ghost.
As a ghost.
On high spirits, and like looking back, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, you had weird taste in men.
Yeah, much better than Gaston from The Little Mermaid.
Oh,
right, Jay.
Sorry, that's right.
I mean, technically, you could also count King Triton from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that's who
Oh,
That's who
would
I was in
definitely
my
count
head,
King
sorry.
Triton.
I was like, Daddy?
He can stab me with that trident.
I enjoyed the classic cartoons though, because that's what I also grew up on, was a lot of that. So I'd watch them at like my grandparents' house, and that was the only thing that because like they're super traditional and like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So you get a lot of that. Flintstones. I loved Scooby-Doo. It might have been my first foray into actual horror in a way, and like ghost stories.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I never got into Scooby-Doo.
I loved Scooby-Doo.
I don't know why. Okay, I do know why. Because my mother hated it as a kid. She didn't like it. So basically anything that mom did like or didn't like, I did the same thing. Because I was just like, if you didn't like it, obviously I shouldn't like it. So for years, that's how I worked. Yeah, unfortunately. I think it was part of my people pleasing, like, please love me and pay attention to me thing. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But so I didn't give Scooby-Doo a chance, and then I just never got into it.
Yeah, I always loved it. I thought it was fun.
I did watch the Smurfs.
I wasn't a Smurfs person. Never really liked it.
I wasn't either. My sister liked it. She liked the Smurfs, and she liked Rainbow Bright, and she liked Strawberry Shortcake. And then
Rainbow
she liked
Bright
Gem
was
and the
cool.
Holograms.
Oh my, Jim!
Jim
Did
and
you
the Holograms.
did you ever see Djibouti Dubs make fun of that? Jizz.
No?
I think that's what he calls it. Jizz.
I've never seen it. No.
You've never seen Jizz?
He's like, there's some in my eye right now.
Right now.
That's not gray hair. Woohoo!
What is this patch of white hair I got? Oh, never mind.
Is that hair gel? I just ran out.
I sent this meme to our friends earlier that said, your sperm becomes the last thing you ate. Or how'd you turn out? And the comment underneath it says, I'm literally the same. Oh man. But yeah, I guess moving a little bit forward in time to like 80s cartoons, because Rainbow Bright and Jim and all of those were really 80s, like early 80s, right?
Yeah, I feel like it.
And the original My Little Pony, too.
Yeah. Which there are some bangers out there for 80s cartoons, like Transformers. Hell yeah.
G.I. Joe.
Ooh, yeah. G.I. Joe was good. Cobra!
Oh, and the Ninja Turtles. My sister was a Ninja Turtles person.
Ooh,
I
yeah,
do remember
me too.
that. That was a big deal.
Having a deep conversation at the ripe age of 5 years old with my friend at daycare about who our favorite Ninja Turtles were, and mine was Raphael.
Well, what was your reasoning?
He had size. The size were cool. I was 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, there was He-Man and Thundercats. Oh, Inspector Gadget. That's the one I've been trying to think of.
Oh, I never knew how old Inspector Gadget was, because I watched it growing up, and I just thought it was like a product of my time, but apparently it's like from the mid-'80s.
Yeah,
right?
and I loved Inspector Gadget. Loved it.
Was cool.
It was really
I always
good.
loved when his car would change from like the van to the car to like the boat. It was so cool. Like, it was so well drawn.
I love
Didn't
the
they have
episode where... Sorry.
Go ahead. You can go, Anthony.
No, you.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Didn't they have like a movie in the late 90s or early 2000s for Inspector Gadget?
They did.
I want to say yes.
Because
and was it live action or was it also
live
cartoon?
action?
It was live action, and the only thing the only thing I even remember from it is that was the time that Yahoo was that was Yahoo was popular. I'm putting accents in the wrong areas of my sentences.
Yahoo!
And that's exactly what happened. There was some scene in the movie where it's like Yahoo, and I just thought that was the most hilarious thing.
Oh my god, it was Matthew Broderick.
That's not surprising, actually. He had a moment where he was in every fucking
Yeah,
thing.
that's true. That does make sense.
Penny was played by Michelle Trachtenberg.
Because that was Stepford Wives era. That was Producers era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1999. So it was a little bit before that.
But around
the
when
same
he
time.
was really like, yeah.
That's just wild to me that I completely forgot about that movie, too.
I don't think I ever watched it.
I don't think I remember anything about it except that Yahoo scene, and I'm pretty sure that's the movie it's from.
It apparently shows like how he became Inspector Gadget. That's kind of cool.
Wasn't he like RoboCopped?
Basically he was a security guard who crashed his Chevrolet Chevette and ended up in a full body cast, and apparently they RoboCopped him and
Been there
a
before.
$6 million mandem. But I don't want to spend a lot of money. When Peter's running with the trash can and the broom.
Oh man, I did really enjoy Thundercats though. I had the Sword of Omens
I bet you did.
as a kid because I was a big sword guy. I still am, but I try not to make a big deal about it
Yeah,
anymore.
sword.
It had the little like crinkles at the bottom of the sword so that you could make the sword get longer. This is all
Making sense.
This is making a lot of sense. We're
Yeah.
connecting a lot of dots here, Beardos.
so like it was cool because you'd have it and you could make it grow because that's how the sword worked into the cartoon. And
Do you guys remember those plastic swords that like you would fling them and they would expand? 'Cause
Yep.
They had like the pieces of plastic that were
Yep.
kind of like Russian nesting dolls, but they would expand
you'd like
into
swing it like super hard, even though it wasn't
Yeah.
necessary to do it that way.
And mine would break.
Yeah.
Didn't they light up at one point?
Yeah, they had some that lit up, and then I remember like if you bent it slightly or it got kind of messed up, like that was it. Like it was just
over,
never.
Yeah,
gonna work
you were
again.
done.
Yep.
I think I actually broke mine to where it was like jammed in.
Broke it on the chat piles.
Oh, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I always had like a fascination with cartoons that had like action / magic / like swords and powers and stuff. So that was where my affinities lie. Or horror.
Wow.
I like that too.
That is definitely, I think I just liked anything garbage because I also loved like Garfield. I thought Garfield was great. That was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. And
I never watched a bunch of it, but I remember Garfield's voice and hearing it for the first time. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely how Garfield sounds.
Yeah.
Because it was just like this slow, labored voice, like I can't be bothered to do anything, and that's how Garfield talked.
And it's funny how as an adult with a fat cat like Garfield, I'm like, that's accurate. Even more accurate than I ever imagined.
Hey, don't besmirch Merlin like that on this podcast.
Okay, I'm going to do a lot of work for this, but if you can see under this chair, there is a fat
Oh my God.
Merlin just sprawled out under that chair.
Just chilling.
Just
I love
chilling in Cedar
knowing that
Rapids.
Rapids.
I love knowing that you had to take your entire monitor and turn it to do that.
I know. I was like,
Yeah.
I got to move my whole computer for this. Thank God it's light.
But then we move to real classic cartoon era into the 90s because holy shit, did we get some fucking awesome cartoons in the 90s.
1991, specifically, the birth year of Nicktoons. All debuting on the same day. Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, and Doug were the original three first Nicktoons, and they all debuted on the same day in 1991.
What a day.
I remember watching Doug, and my dad would like to watch it with me because he liked Doug because Doug was like this genuine good guy of a character, and like he always taught. Well, like, the show taught some really good lessons too. Like
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of older episodes, but there's one episode that stuck out for me in particular, and it's the episode where you learn more about his friend Chalky, and Chalky Studebaker, right?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
So, and in the episode, you learn a little bit more about Chalky Studebaker's backstory. Chalky, if you guys remember, was like the overachieving athlete, perfect kid at school, always like popular and everything. And in this episode, Doug goes over to Chalky's house to visit, and you see all these awards and accolades. And then you meet Chalky's dad, and then you find out, oh, there's some sinister stuff happening behind the scenes, and there's a lot of pressure on Chalky. And then it kind of shows Chalky's like mental health, which talking about that kind of stuff in the 90s was still seen as like really taboo, and especially for a kids cartoon show to handle it. Like a lot of Nicktoons did that though. They had a lot of like older themes kind of pushed in there because I think they understood that a lot of parents and possibly babysitters were watching these cartoons along with the kids at home. So they really found a great way to insert a lot of more mature topics and small snippets of things that made the show watchable for all ages, which was really refreshing, especially for the parents that had to watch the cartoons all day.
Yeah. And I remember there was that episode of Rugrats where it had to do with Chucky dealing with his mom not being alive and just having to like process that in a way because he didn't really remember her. And so it was such a deep topic for a kid's show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rugrats they really pushed a lot of envelopes like that sometimes. And I remember I've read some actually pretty kind of dark fan theories about Rugrats itself. And one of the ones that I read about a few times was that Tommy Pickles was actually stillborn and never really existed. So all of the show's events are kind of like just showing how his life would have been and how Angelica, his cousin, like always talks about him and how like, I don't know, it's this weird, crazy theory that how Tommy never existed.
That's insane.
And they're just showing like a fantasy. I don't like
it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That went too dark.
It was really dark.
I just appreciated how they had a Dr. Lip shits.
Oh my god, and Dee Dee always referenced his books.
Yeah.
And then they
Always.
met him, and didn't he turn out to be a huge fraud or something like that?
Yeah.
And then there was Ren and Stimpy, and it was just fucking chaos.
Jesus.
That got banned from our house at one point.
I'm not surprised.
My dad and sister loved watching that show.
My God.
My dad had a little figurine. They did this dance all the time called Happy Happy Joy Joy.
That's
where they
exactly
would
why.
butt their butts together.
Yep.
And they show all the butt crack and everything. But my dad had a little figurine showing them doing their butt bounce, and it says Happy Happy Joy Joy on the base. And he had it. It was an office knickknack everywhere he worked.
Because my sister and I, we would go happy, happy, joy, joy, and bump into each other and be like, ha, 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 ha. And it was so fun. And Dad was like, quit it. It's inappropriate. And then we did it so much, like just being stupid. He was like, that's it. We're never watching the show again.
The show was very mature for its time. Like, I really think that they were seeing what they could get away with.
What's weird is we weren't allowed to watch that show, but since 1989, basically, we totally watched The Simpsons as a family.
As a family.
Classy.
I think that sounds like it's probably because your dad didn't understand the humor of Ren and Stimpy.
I think so. That it makes sense. He's not.
Like, I don't get this, and so nobody can have it.
Yep. You know what I was raised with now. That's exactly the lifestyle I had.
Yep. I feel that. Did you guys watch X-Men, the animated series?
No.
I never got into those.
Man, that's upsetting. I really enjoyed that. I was talking with my coworker about it yesterday because we were kind of like ruminating on some of the 90s cartoons that we watched. And that was one of my favorites because it was X-Men, but on TV.
The one thing I will say about X-Men the animated series is that the opening theme song fucking slaps.
It does.
It's such a
Fucking slaps. So it drives me nuts that one of the theme songs that randomly appears in my head for no reason from the 90s is Pepper Ann, na 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 na.
We're 7th grade Pepper Ann. She's like one in a
In a million. Wasn't that a Disney Channel cartoon?
It was. But one real quick thing about Rugrats I want to talk about before we shift over to Disney Channel.
I'm just all over the place.
Tommy's mother, her age in the show is 32.
Yeah, it kills me that her and Stu are basically younger than me now.
I don't know why my kid brain just thought it was unfathomable, or I guess I just didn't understand the age 32.
Well,
but like I never really thought of them having an age. They were just parents.
I also kind of think of it this way, is you look back at hair and all that stuff from the 90s and the 80s, and a lot of people looked older than
That is true.
than we do now.
She does look older. Her style and her dress and her hair, like she looks like she's in her 40s.
I think there was a time where society sort of expected you to start dressing down and looking older.
Yeah.
And we just don't do that. Like our generation and the Gen Xers don't do it.
Well, I mean, look at, and then plus our visuals on just how people should look has changed. I mean, look at the Golden Girls compared to Sex and the City. They're the same age.
Oh, what?
Well, technically, and just like that, they're the new Sex and the City show. Yeah, it's like these women are in their 50s and early 60s, and it's kind of the same with, and just like that, they're the same age, but one looks like they're in their 80s. One looks like what we're used to in their 40s or 50s.
That's wild.
Did that hurt?
Yeah, a little.
It's just kind of recognizing that these women are all the same age, or at least they're displaying the same age women in their shows, and it's a completely different vibe on what we expect out of them.
But back to cartoons.
So, moving over to Disney Channel, there were a couple over there that I watched a little bit. You mentioned Pepper Ann a little bit ago, and I thought that was a good show.
I remember watching it.
It was a good show for kids to watch because it showed this 13-year-old girl, navigating life, and she was kind of a little bit of a social outcast, but she had her little group of friends, and it just showed that you don't have to be the most popular kid in school, but you can still, teach your friends things and learn good lessons and be a good person, and I don't know, just had those feel-good messages.
Yep, I cannot remember anything about the show except the intro when she was on her skateboard. That's all that's in my head.
Well, and then on Disney Channel, there was another one called Recess. Did you guys ever watch
I
Recess?
watched that all the time. I loved that one.
It was fun watching this group of kids navigate. What was it like? Were they in elementary school or was it middle school?
I'm pretty positive it was elementary school.
It was just ragtag bunch of group of friends, and they all had their unique quirks, and they would learn lessons from each other, and they would, have to learn things, and the teacher was their enemy, but also a good character, and just all kinds of different stories.
I think it was also kind of broken down that the kindergartners were savages, and so every time they had to deal with the kindergartners, if this is the right show still that I'm thinking of, every time they had to deal with kindergartners, suddenly the scene would flip over, and they would literally be incapable of talking. They would grunt, and the playground would be on fire wherever they're at because they're just learning the basics of life. And I mean, it was stupid, but it was funny.
Well, Anthony, you didn't focus too much on Disney Channel, but you watched a lot of Captain Planet, isn't that right?
So I watched Captain Planet. I watched a lot of superhero stuff because that's what I was always into. But I know that's not you guys' jam, so I won't go on too long.
I liked Captain Planet. That was a good one.
Captain Planet. I always wanted to have the fire ring, and I thought Matisse heart ring was the stupidest thing in the world.
It is.
He was
it really
heart.
Is.
Actually, I thought of something that might be everyone's jam in school.
Ooh.
The Magic School Bus.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh, Willie Tomlin.
I liked it because it was educational.
That was my jam. I know. I loved it because it was educational.
How many different pieces of media have done the classic shrink down to microscopic size and enter the human body? Because the Magic School Bus wasn't the first, but they certainly weren't the last.
I mean, but they Rick and Morty have done it twice, and they're only 6 seasons in.
Yeah,
that's such a good episode of Magic School Bus when they have to go save Arnold's I forget what they had to He was chewing gum for a record, I think, and he accidentally swallowed it. So they shrunk down to go into his body to retrieve the gum so he could keep his record going. It was a weird premise for sure.
Didn't they do one where Arnold was sick and they got into his body to
That's right.
That was Mikey.
Mikey, okay.
Mikey, yeah. I was someone was sick for sure.
They entered his body non-consensually through a cut on his knee into his bloodstream.
Wow.
The episode with Arnold, they talked about the digestion system. Mm-hmm. And then the episode with Mikey, they were talking about all the other systems in the human body.
Yeah.
So that was the difference. I saw this really great meme about the Magic School Bus that always makes me laugh, but it said, imagine Miss Frizzle just giving all the kids acid, and then they're all just, sitting in the parking lot in the bus, just and they're just thinking they're going on all these adventures, but they're just tripping fucking balls in the parking lot.
Listen, if I'm going to learn something from an acid trip, game on. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
I want to go learn about weather and the planets and the digestive system.
And then there was a girl in the class, her name was Phoebe, I think, and she was from a different school. And every episode she would pepper in the line, at my old school, we would never, and then whatever they were doing in the episode. And there was another meme that I saw, and then it shows, it cuts to Miss Frizzle's face, and she's like this, just a deadpan stare. And she's like, did they ever teach you how to shut the fuck up at your little school, Phoebe? You want to sit down and shut the fuck up?
That was such a good show. And
yes, it was.
And then the TV would roll into the classroom and you would just
oh yeah,
get so excited because you're going to turn the lights out and we're going to watch TV.
God, yes.
I just remember as an adult flipping that on and going, oh my fucking God, that is Lily Tomlin.
Yeah, you would
yeah, as an adult. I never thought about it as a kid because I didn't recognize how amazing she was yet.
But then you get to some of the classic Cartoon Network cartoons that were starting to come out then.
Yes.
So, like,
let's talk about Cartoon
I'm
Network.
so ready.
Dexter's Lab.
Fuck
Oh my
yes.
God.
Loved that cartoon.
Even as
What
an
did his
adult,
mom
I
always
still
say,
love it.
Jay?
Can't.
I remember the first episode where he makes that mech suit because he keeps getting beat up in dodgeball, and the mech suit like fires all the dodgeballs, and he's like on the field, like basically murdering everybody else in his class with these high-powered dodgeballs. And it isn't like Dee Dee who throws the last one and like hits him and knocks the thing over.
Of course, because she always got the better of him.
Yeah, every time. God.
There was a great part of that same episode where he's like trying to get away from the dodgeballs, and they chase him into the library, and they're just like sentient floating dodgeballs, and
Yeah.
they split up to try and find him.
Yep.
And he gets cornered by a window, and then the dodgeball comes towards him, and you just see him. It cuts to outside the building, and then you just see him fly out the window, and then it cuts away.
Dee Dee. I just loved it all. The whole show.
His dad,
Oh.
Mr. Duke McPherson.
And his rival, the smart kid.
Mandark.
Man,
Yes.
Dark.
God, your
He
memory's
would
so
laugh
good.
and go, ha ha ha.
I always wanted to call him
Mandark.
Mandork. Well, didn't Dee Dee call him that once?
I think so, because he was in love with Dee Dee.
That's right.
Yep. And
Yeah.
didn't he have like his lab was just giant because it was like a giant
Like-
sphere behind his house?
Giant behind his house, like not even trying to hide it, whereas like Dexter's was like underneath the house.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That was that classic animation style of those classic Cartoon Network cartoons, though,
Mhm.
because they were all drawn like the very blocky,
Yep.
kind of sloppy fill-in style.
Yeah,
like
it was kind of
Powerpuff
lazy.
Girls.
And I loved
Powerpuff
it.
Girls. Oh.
Rocco Modern Life.
Powerpuff Girls, like the classic Powerpuff Girls hit different. I
It
love
was so
the Powerpuff
good.
Girls.
And the opening theme also slaps.
Yeah, definitely. And we can't talk about the crazy demented animator that came up with the enemy him.
Him.
Wasn't it just a play on Satan?
Basically that's
I
what
feel
him
like it,
looked
yes.
But like
It was like
He
this
always wore those
red lobster creature, and he
heels.
had this tutu and the giant heels,
in the
and he
claws.
talked like this.
That's right.
And it would always have
Yeah.
like this real like echoey quality to it.
Mm-hmm. They had they went to a really dark place with that
It was
enemy.
wild.
Yeah.
And then there's of course Mojo Jojo.
Yep. Definitely
It
remember
is
that
like
one.
Mojo Jojo,
Jojo.
which you learn later was a failed experiment by the professor, which Professor Utonium. Oh,
That's another one.
I'm just not as
Yeah.
into Professor Uchon. It never occurred to
I
me,
was into
suppose.
him. I wanted him to be into me. Oof.
He was pretty. He had that
I
chiseled
wanted his
draw
chemical
because it
X
was all
over
square.
me.
I go for the fuzzy lumpkins of the world.
Yeah, that's true. Do you guys remember the episode when the neighbors next door, you kind of learned more about them, the Smiths? And the dad like
Yeah.
had this boring fucking life, and he would fill mustard jars all day, and it would just show his life being menial and boring. And then his wife Marianne was always like, "Guess what's for breakfast? Pancakes!" Like every morning, and they were just so one dimensional and boring. And then so he gets bored and decides he's going to take on the Powerpuff Girls because he's so tired of them being perfect and happy all the time. And then at the end of the episode, he fails and goes to jail. And then it turns out that Marianne is like super angry because she's like, "Those Powerpuff Girls ruined my dinner." And then there's like a sequel episode where Marianne has like tricked out the family van.
I was
and
gonna say
gotten
it's
them
like
all
the whole
costumes, and
family
they try to
is
take them
turned
down.
into supervillains.
It is so
yeah.
well thought out. I
Good
love it.
heavens. I do
Marianne
not have the
Smith.
memory for that. I don't remember that at
Oh,
all.
You've really got to sit down and rewatch the classic Powerpuff
Apparently.
Girls because it has aged incredibly well too.
Oh man, Powerpuff Girls, so fucking good.
It was always the narrator too. Like he'd always up the city of town. There's one where he opened
Oh,
it
yeah.
and it was like there was already something bad going on, and he just goes, "The city of Townsville is under attack." And then when Bubbles would do that same scream, when she'd be like, "Blossom, you gotta wake up," she'd be like, "Answer the phone. What's wrong? Oh, okay, goodbye." And then hangs it up, and then the other two girls are sleeping, and she goes, "Wake up!"
Do you remember the episode where they got invaded by alien broccoli? And it turned out
I
like
do
the
kind of
only
remember
way-
that one.
Oh my god!
That
The
is
only way
such
they
a
could beat
classic.
them is to recruit all the kids and have them eat the broccoli. And I'm just watching as these kids literally cannibalize this entire alien species, and thinking this is fun.
And then the farm kids come to save the day on like their vegetable motorcycles and whatever.
Yep.
Because all the kids in the town are getting full, so
Yep.
they can't keep fighting. But all the farmer kids show up, and they're like pouring cheese sauce on
Oh
them
my
and
God.
just eating all of them.
And it makes me hungry for broccoli and cheese every time.
God, broccoli and cheese sounds good.
I know.
It is so funny looking back at kids' cartoons like that we were raised on and being like, wow, some of the messages that they had in them. For example, on the same network and roughly at the same time was Johnny Bravo.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about kind of a chauvinist.
A chauvinist I
so
would absolutely
our-
have sex with.
I remember I wanted to talk about this, but I remember as a kid and like as one of my gay awakenings, I guess. But I remember being like, why are all these girls like not wanting to like get with him? He's so hot. And then now I'm just like, oh, he was a pig.
Yeah.
He'd be like, hey, pretty mama.
Like, I get it.
Hey, chickie baby.
I'm finally getting it now.
There's one where like he grabbed a girl and like literally licked her entire face, and I'm just like, that is so bad.
Oh my God.
That's
Why
happened to
can't
me
it?
at
Why
the
couldn't
gay
that be
bar.
me?
I literally years ago got licked on the face during a hookup, and it wasn't like a cute little it was like a and I was like, what is happening?
That was me today at the McDonald's drive-thru. It was so weird.
That's I say that I wouldn't be into it, but like, stranger things have happened to me in the bedroom where something starts happening. I'm like, oh, apparently I'm into this now.
Call me Johnny Bravo.
I wonder
Yeah.
if nowadays I'd be like, that's okay, but back then I definitely was just like, what is happening?
And then sometimes they would break into a dance break, and Johnny Bravo would just be doing
He did
the
that.
classic like.
Oh, I
moving the
definitely
fist
did
up
that
and
little
down.
dance for sure.
It was so weird, but like everyone would get into it.
Because when those shows were on the Boomerang channel, that a lot of their cutoffs or kind of like, you're watching the Boomerang channel, it flipped through a lot of those cartoons, and I always remember Johnny Bravo was somewhere on the screen going. So yeah, that's definitely something I remember of him for sure.
Did you guys ever watch Adult Swim? When
Oh,
Cartoon
yeah.
Network would like turn into Adult Swim at night.
Mm-hmm.
You guys-
Yes.
I did as a kid.
Absolutely.
And I loved it. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. And what was one of the other ones I always watched? I always watched anime because it was my first foray into anime. But then I watched The Brack Show and Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Oh yeah, Space
Yeah.
Ghost. My sister liked that show a lot
Yeah.
too, where they would have like it was like a talk show, and they'd actually have celebrities come on.
Yeah, they'd have like, I don't even know if they were really famous people, but yeah, it was just a talk show.
I got into Robot Chicken a little bit.
Ooh, bum, ba, dum, 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 dum.
I think I appreciate it more as a dad, or as an adult.
I'm so happy because I'm a gummy bear. Gummy bear.
I'm delicious.
American Dad came out in 2005.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's old.
Right
Wow.
before Family Guy came back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Except
Wow.
the difference is that American Dad has continued to get better and Family Guy has continued to get worse.
That's true.
Before we jump forward to American Dad, Jay, you talked about watching The Simpsons as a family.
Yeah.
In 1997, a fun little cartoon program debuted on Comedy Central called South Park. And I remember it pushing all the envelopes back then.
Yeah.
It was like so taboo and risque, and it would come on Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock because that was like when the kids were supposed to be in bed. My parents they'd be calling me upstairs, Joe, South Park's on, come down. And we would all watch South Park. And I feel like they're trying to get it canceled at this point because it's so much fucking work, but that show is just still so good
They've
and on the
predicted so
nose, I
much.
think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny how as a kid, I didn't like the show. I didn't get the humor. And I just thought it was stupid. And then even as a teenager, I'd laugh at a couple things, but I just thought it was kind of stupid. As an adult, it's an amazing cartoon.
So fucking
The
funny.
satire that runs in the background of everything is just like,
Yep.
this is genius.
Yep.
I love how they'll retcon stuff like within the universe as well, where all of a sudden Token has become Tolkien. And
Oh my gosh.
And even retroactively, they've changed like all the closed
subtitles,
captioning to say Tolkien.
That's where it says Tolkien, unless it's Stan or gosh, what is it? Randy. Yeah. Unless it's Stan or Randy saying it, and then they'll say Token until after that episode.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Well, I feel like probably we've only scratched the surface, and you guys are probably screaming at us right now for forgetting a beloved show that you've watched. So email us, send us a voicemail.
Get in the comments.
Leave a message on our socials. Get in the comments. Let us know what we missed. And maybe in the future, I don't know, maybe we'll do a part 2 episode of this, or we can even talk in the future about what you guys think that we missed.
Yes.
But for now, I think it's time for a commercial break.
And now, for a word from our sponsor, the Beards and Sundries Saturday Morning Cartoon Cavalcade.
This Saturday on the Beards and Sundries Saturday Morning Cartoon Cavalcade. This week on the Power Fluffer Boys, the evil Liquor Dick has taken over all the penises on the porn set after a drunken rage, and the Power Fluffer Boys are powerless to stop it. Find out how they defeat Liquor Dick at 8 a.m. The Power Fluffer Boys is followed by Courage the Subby Puppy at 8:30. Then at 9... Johnny Slob My Nabo has been used for several hours at the bathhouse down on 59. But when the owner comes in, will Johnny be up for it? Find out Saturday at 9 on Johnny Slob My Nabo. At 9:30 is Samurai Jack Me Up. And at 10, it's Pinky and the Stink. On Pinky and the Stink, Stink tries to plan the largest gay orgy in recorded history. But what will Pinky do to foil the plan? Find out at 10 this Saturday on Pinky and the Stink. Followed by the Nymphomaniacs at 10:30. This Saturday on the Longtime Channel's Hangover Hours. Hey guys, make sure you follow and subscribe to our podcast so you can receive a notification every Sunday when a new episode drops.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I love waking up early on a Saturday morning to watch the Beards and Sundries Cartoon Cavalcade.
I do love it, and I love to pour me a nice bowl of Special K because I'm old now.
My favorite show is the Power Fluffer Boys.
The Power Fluffer Boys. It's a great show.
I get the apple, what is it, like the apple cinnamon honey nut Cheerios or whatever it is? Yeah.
Those are 2 different flavors, but yes.
Whatever. The apple cinnamon Cheerios. Thank you.
Yes.
And you eat those while you're watching Johnny's Not So Bravo?
No, I watch Johnny Slob My Nabo.
That's not Saturday mornings, you dummy. That's Saturday night on HBO.
Consensually, of course.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really like that show.
Right after Sex in the City.
Johnny Slob My Nabo.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the stage.
Johnny Slob My Nabo. We've really peaked as a podcast.
We're excelling. This is what tens of listeners are after.
This is what tens of people want every week.
Speaking of our podcast, how about some progress updates? Jay, you said there was an almost run-in with a bingo card today.
Ooh, there was a near miss. We almost got to claim another square because earlier this week, Monday, Tuesday, I went through a little bout of food poisoning and had lots of bathroom breaks and lots of near misses, but survived. But today I put a lot of trust into a fart on my drive home and almost learned a no-no, but still safe. So can't claim that square yet.
Ah, so close.
So close. I mean, that's the closest we've been, I think.
You've survived all the way through August.
I can't believe that this entire week that I just survived that at all, especially when I was throwing up.
Well, I'm glad you made it through it so we could birth this podcast into existence.
We could birth this episode.
So, well, talking about podcast things and stuff and things, do we have any Beardo submitted sundries or feedback this week, Jay?
So I have quite a bit this week. We got an email from George and Anthony.
Hi, George and Anthony.
And Anthony.
This was based over the week of, it was our home renovation episode a couple weeks ago. And so they said, hello, I feel like it's been a hot minute since I wrote you an actual email. Of course, we loved the episode. We've been through our fair share of homo renovations-ish. Thankfully, this house, we didn't really need to have anything done, except I wanted the countertops replaced. They were an ugly brown vinyl before. As far as house hunting goes, I think we've looked at about 8 or 10 before we found this one, so kudos to you guys.
Seriously.
Some of them were okay, but some needed so much work, and they were overpriced. If it wasn't needing a ton of cosmetic work, they had foundation issues. So many of the houses we saw had foundation problems, which I ran into that a couple times on my house searching. And one, I was like, that house would never pass inspection, because it was like split down the wall above the garage door, and it almost looked like the house was falling off.
We had one that we toured that I was walking across the living room and I was like, that feels weird. And then I walked back the other way and I was like, I'm pretty sure that feels weird. And so I did it a few times and I was like, Joe, walk back and forth across the living room with me. Does it feel like you're walking uphill and then downhill? And we were. There was like, I finally looked up and I saw this crack in the ceiling. I was like, oh. And our realtor was this like complete just, I don't know a good way to describe Scott, but he would tell you bad things.
His
about
wife
the house.
did all the heavy lifting.
That would be the right way to describe Scott. But it was really funny because we'd go and I'd try to there was one house I remember I was trying to close the door behind me and it wouldn't close. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And he's like, yeah, I can't say anything bad about the house, but doors should close.
And that was his style. He would just say things like that.
But they said, anyway, we can't wait for the next episode as always. I'll talk to you later.
Yay.
Oh, well, good. Well, I've got one real quick, too, from Beardo Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Beardo Catherine.
She always gives me feedback as she's listening, which is always fun because it makes it in time for recording the next week. But she said that she will participate in a battle for Best Wisconsin Beardo for our future Patreon, LOL, with her player piano.
Watch out, Shanae. Could you imagine Shanae just wakes up one morning, looks at her front door, and she's just like, oh my God!
She just hears a muffled, distorted, like The Entertainer.
But it plays it in minor and really slow, like the opening of an ad for a horror film.
Yes.
He sounded like Herbert doing his ringtone.
Yeah.
I have a quick Beardo Sundry, and then we'll let you get to all the rest of yours, Jay.
Sounds great.
So in regards to the ads episode, John Riley from HR actually reached out. And
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Said, please note, Joe and I are the same age, and I know the chain. So your faith in elder millennials should be restored. And
I knew we were going to get called out for that.
So he asked me if you did not know of the Heartachingly Beautiful Rumors album, to which I responded that you do know about it, which makes it all the more surprising.
Well, thanks for not breaking the chain.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. I'm glad that somebody called him out on it because what the fuck?
Yeah, we deserved it. It's fine. Derek emailed us.
Hi, Derek. Oh,
Actually, good beard.
Derek with the good beard said, hey, stud finders. I enjoyed the homo renovation episode. Thanks for finding the wood for the open concept flooded basement. Listening to this episode got me in the mood to polish my knobs.
Wow. Derek, you should have your own podcast because you're funnier than we could ever be.
I know. I feel like Derek just needs to write every pun for us and we're just reading them out.
Hey, do you want a job? It doesn't pay anything, but
yeah. Do you want to waste your time like we do? Perhaps there can be a follow-up version where we talk about gardening. I'd love to hear more about your decks. By the way, I hear if you trim the bushes around your deck, it makes it look bigger.
God damn it.
Wow, we suck.
Well, things are definitely starting to bloom around here in the break room.
I forgot that he wrote this part in, but I'm going to add this game into next week, so I'm not going to tell you what it is now, but he said perhaps you could sneak a fuck, marry, kill in a future episode in a few weeks or months as you'd do. And so-
Damn. Gotcha.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
I know. I was
Derek.
like, good job, Derek. So I'm going to leave that out so that way we can use it next week. But
Maybe.
I would, yeah, okay. It's in my notes that it'll go next week. We'll try. I would also encourage
Sure.
you to check out Roger Hazard and his husband, Chris Stout. Roger was on HGTV in the early years, and they both make custom chairs and couches that are gorgeous. They also have quite the social media presence on the Instagram. Yes, the was typed on purpose.
Ooh.
Is this who I think I know who this is.
I know who
He's
this
a
is
big,
too.
beefy
Oh my
guy.
god, he's so
Yeah?
big, and his
Oh my god.
oh, he could
Chris, what the fuck
break
is
me
his name?
over those
Stout?
couches. He is so big.
And while
Oh my
you're
God.
while you're romanticizing that, I'll put in this final part. Finally, let me complete my homework assignment and let you know that my green mankerchief is worn on the left side. I have embraced my daddiness for years now. Have a great
Hell
week.
Yes.
Oh, that was so cute.
Well, Derek, thanks for reminding me about Chris Stout because I had forgotten temporarily. So thank you for bringing thank you for bringing me back to a flooded basement.
Derek then also followed up with an email this week after the ads episode, and he said, "Hey Beardos, I just finished listening to the quote, 'You millennials ruined everything,' end quote episode. I'm a proud member
we sure
of
did.
I'm a proud member of Gen X, so naturally this older geezer has some thoughts. For the record, Gen X is the forgotten generation that has been camping out in aisle 4 for decades.
Yes, they are. My sister is
I-
among you.
I admit that every time a department store or a chain restaurant or a little bit of my childhood young adult life dies a little because of all of the memories associated with that particular store. I also realize that when I go
Yep.
back and think about the last time I went to that establishment, it had been years, or in some case, decades. There are a couple places that you guys did not mention explicitly.
Yeah.
Shopping malls, which, by the way, was instrumental
really
to my
is. And
80s
we-
childhood, which, it's true, that's an entire episode in itself.
We had an episode about it.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We did. It's
Well, you know,
way
it's
back. Sorry, Derek.
What
You're
a
going to have to
great
go back to
topic.
like
We should
episode
definitely do
7. We could
In the
redo
past.
it.
We did. We talked about malls.
We did. I completely forgot. This was the place where young adults met and hung out. With the switch to online shopping, recessions that limited spending, and the ability for young whippersnappers to congregate online, the meeting place that was the mall has lost lots of foot traffic and popularity.
Mhm.
This was an interesting point he made. The gay bar has also been ruined, or at least severely impacted, by youngins.
Yeah.
Gen Z has contributed to this
Yeah.
more than millennials, though. In the 80s and 90s, the institution that is the gay bar was really one of the few safe havens where you could feel safe and be yourself without fear. I remember that you beardos have mentioned that the appeal of gay bar is not as that great for you anymore. It makes sense since the general LGBTQ is more accepted in woke, non-conservative places. And the invention of the apps allows you to order in, quote unquote, instead of going out to find company for the evening.
Let's clarify. It allows you to order in, Derek.
When you have a good beard, it's easy. Proof of this can be witnessed by the large number of bars that have closed around the country. I will now step off my soapbox. My goal is not to be too boomerish with my commentary this week. How did I do?
I think you did great. You're right.
For the record, I'm totally aligned with adding the "we are totally rooting for you" sound clip every time Jay plays or loses a game. Love you, boys. Derek with the good beard.
He loses every time he plays, Derek, so it'll be, yeah.
Following right behind on the coattails of that, you guys should go check out the Lost Spaces podcast. It's a podcast that we've recommended here before, but it is a podcast about guests that come on the show and they talk about gay bars that they grew up with or that they frequented that are now closed or have been forgotten about. And both Jay and Anthony have episodes on that podcast, and they're both very good episodes.
We do.
So you should go check it out.
You can learn more about us. I was really surprised at, Kay, who is the host of the podcast, is an incredible editor.
That was exactly what I was about to say. A lot of people, they don't see the side that we do of how I felt like it was a clusterfuck of me just talking. And the episode came out sounding so smooth
gorgeous.
and perfect.
Anyways, that could be something to check out in and of itself. And I'm pretty sure we've brought it up before, but
Oh, for
do
sure.
check it out because it is really good.
Absolutely.
it really adds on to Derek's point in that there are all these lost spaces that are queer spaces.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or were.
And I don't think I ever really took it into consideration of how much they are dying, but going out within the past few years, I've definitely seen the decline in crowds. You'll still see crowded places sometimes, but it's just not what it was even 10 years ago.
Well, there's a few contributing factors. One, it's because Gen Z really is more focused on like inclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get inclusive spaces that aren't strictly like gay bars. But then the other thing is that millennials and Gen Zers drink considerably less than generations before us, statistically.
Well, and maybe I also see this differently, but here in like Oklahoma City, it seems like for a long time, the gay bars were kind of always a pretty rundown, skeezy place to go. And these younger generations are coming in. They're just like, I don't want to do that. I want to go somewhere just as fun and nice as everyone else does. And so that's how we started getting these districts like Midtown and Plaza and Paseo district in just Oklahoma City that are extraordinarily gay friendly. And you're mingling with everyone else, getting to do what everyone else does, not having to kind of go tuck yourself into this darker old bar.
I'll also say that one thing that I've noticed with Gen Z is that they are far more accepting of other things. So there doesn't seem to be a need as much for a more protected space like a gay bar because they're more accepting of LGBT plus anyway. As in general, not every single one of them, of course.
I also just kind of feel like they are not afraid to push back also with confrontation.
Oh God.
Compared to how
one thing that
growing
I love
up
about Gen Z.
We were. Oh my God. That's why I'm so supportive. If anything, I think that's why I love Gen Z so much is they've given me comfort.
Like, honey, sweetie baby, do you want me to make Molotov cocktails for you? Because I can.
Yeah, I'm going to drop you off. I will drop you off at the protest.
I'm like, I'm so proud of you guys being this way. I should do better. And so then like I started getting more confident in myself and being less afraid of confrontation towards it. Cause I'm like, I'm so proud of Gen Z.
Cause they're cutting through the bullshit and they're speaking up for what they believe in.
And as a little gay boy growing up in the Midwest, you spend a lot of your time growing up being apologetic for being gay.
You hide from it. You aren't allowed to talk about it.
Yeah. And you understand why you're not allowed to talk about it, even though it's like, as you get to the other side, you realize how unhealthy that is. You're like, oh, well, I can't really talk about that around my family because they'll get offended. So they know, but we can't really talk about it.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm like, fuck you. If you don't like it, you can get it.
Yeah. I'm just kind of like, what am I supposed to do? Make you comfortable because
I'm tired of it. I have spent 30 some years making other people comfortable.
I did too. I'm tired. I'm done.
They can go fuck themselves.
Yeah. If they can't
be uncomfortable,
if they can't be comfortable with it, then that's a them problem, not a me problem.
You live in a society, you're not going to be comfortable with people all the time.
If you want to be comfortable with what you have as a country, then go to fucking Wyoming or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Go do exactly what you criticize everyone else for. Go to your little safe space in your little country house and be like, hey, this is where I'm comfortable.
Listen. If you need to have a religious theocracy in place for government, there's a place that's already got that going. Already there. It's called Iran. And you can go there now.
I know. That's kind of my thing is I'm like, if you want to be in a country that focuses so much on religion, then go to a country that focuses so much on religion.
Do it.
There are lots of them out there.
So, Derek, thanks so much for giving us a soapbox, too.
And to finish off on our user content, because I actually have one more tiny little item. Michael messaged us from New Jersey on TikTok, and he said he's disappointed that we did not do anything on our last show about ads, and we talked about the rotisserie chicken, set it and forget it.
Oh my God, the Showtime rotisserie oven from Ron Popeil.
Yep.
Who he himself looked like he spent too much time in the Showtime rotisserie oven. That commercial was great. The set it, and then the audience
and forget it. Joe, I can't even tell you how many times this week since listening to our episode that I always have garlic, nasty, stinky garlic stuck in my head.
Stupid cigarette.
Yes.
Well,
The tangents we've got on today.
but now, are you guys ready for something to check out?
I am.
Yes.
I hear you have one this week, Anthony.
I do. I have a couple this week. Normally, we would give you a recommendation for something to check out, I don't know, like Dropout or another podcast or TV show or just something. However, this week's something to check out is a couple of things. If you are keeping up with the news, you guys might be aware that it's been kind of a decent week in news. We've had a couple of things that have made my heart extremely happy, and in case you missed them, I'm going to bring them up here. So let's go ahead and start with probably my personal favorite.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Is it another bout from Glitch McConnell?
Another bout from Glitch McConnell. Boom. This is the actual factual moment where Mitch McConnell froze yet again. Listen in, beardos, because it's a fun one.
Okay.
Senator, you're up for election in 3 short years. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026?
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
What efforts is Daniel Cameron going to have to make on the campaign trail to win Kentuckians over in November?
Senator Daniel Cameron, do you have a comment on Daniel Cameron?
Well, I think the government race is going to be very close.
So yeah, Mitch McConnell has been basically freezing up. His software is broken and they don't seem to be able to update it, and it is incredible.
It should clear his cache.
Basically, I had to do that before we got on here and it worked.
So I don't know who she is. I don't know her name. I don't know anything about her. She might be a bad person. I don't know. But in that clip, she is the best person in that clip because she's like, Senator, did you hear the question? Did anyone? She's like, I know she's trying to fill time for him, but she's just like, she did a really bad job at doing it. And it just adds to the comedy.
I love that she asked them to speak up about the question as if that was the problem.
Like, yeah.
I just know that all the SNL writers are just absolutely foaming at the mouth, they can't wait to put that in next season.
So I did read some articles recently from some neurologists that said that his little blackout, or I guess staring phases, are potentially caused by his fall that he had back in March, where I guess he fell and like got a concussion and fractured ribs. And they said that okay, well, they keep saying that recovery from concussions can take a while, and I'm like, that's a lot of months of
They're
recovery.
sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
What's the term?
I mean,
Gaslighting?
if you can just fall and get a concussion and break a bunch of ribs just from regular falls, like, maybe you shouldn't be running the country.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't be a minority leader.
It's wild to watch because whenever that happens and he gets that face, I'm just like, what's happening in his head? Like, does he just black out? Or
nothing.
does he forget?
He goes,
Does he know what's happening and he just has no control?
Maybe it's you know what? He is old, so it's probably the dial-up sound going on in there.
that's exactly what it is.
You've got mail.
He got a phone call and lost connection, and now he's trying to reconnect.
So that's something great to check out. But something else that's really great to check out, if, again, you haven't been keeping up with the news, this is my time to inform you. Rudy Giuliani lost his defamation lawsuit in Georgia.
Oh, he lost?
I saw that.
He lost it because he was unwilling to divulge requests for evidence that the judge had made.
Naughty, naughty boy.
So either he didn't have it, or like basically decided it was more advantageous to take the L than to divulge evidence.
Either way, that's a super bad L, because this man is broke right now, selling his New York apartment.
Broke.
And now I think his beginning pay is $130,000 to these two ladies. And I think that's just like, I don't remember the term, but it's like a down payment. They're substantially more.
So they have to figure out the defamation, like the settlement amount. And they haven't done that yet. There's a whole separate trial for the settlement amount.
And so he has no money already.
Oh, yeah. And he just lost 2 billionaire donors. So the dude is just, it's wonderful. You love to see it.
And he's got his apartment listed for what, $2 million more than it's worth?
Oh, sure. And I've got one more really fun piece of news for you to check out.
Yay!
Today I learned that the Proud Boys leader was sentenced to 17 years in prison for the Capitol riot.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Love to see it. It's been
snaps
a good
for that.
week in news.
Fucked around, and guess what? Found out.
It has been a nice break on news for a while. I was so tired of hearing about all of these random, wildly radical wins that I'm like, how? Why are you winning so much? So it's nice to finally see these investigations are busting out a lot of results.
Because you hear about it, but you don't ever see any sort of repercussions. And it's nice to see people actually deal with the consequences of their actions.
I'll go on the record here on our podcast and say that I'm definitely not the biggest fan of our government myself, but what happened on that day on January 6th was horrific and violent.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that results are finally coming from it, because those people absolutely committed crimes that day, and it's far past time they answered for it.
Treason. I mean, it's just treason. I mean, that's treason. I don't understand how it could be anything else, but whatever. Anyways, that's something to check out this week. It's been a good week for news.
Actually, just go log in and check the news for a bit, and you're going to read a lot. It's a great week to check out news right now.
Yeah, it's not doom scrolling this week, you guys.
Unless you're a Trump lover, then it's a really bad week.
Do you guys think it's time for a game?
I think
yes.
We're a bunch of jokers, and it's definitely time for a game.
I think this episode just dragged on a while. It's time for a game.
It really has.
Game time.
And this is a game I'm calling What a Character, Saturday Morning Edition.
I hate that I'm going to lose this now.
So I'm going to name up to 3 characters from a classic cartoon, and you'll need to guess the cartoon. You'll have 3 guesses of your own.
Okay.
Hold on, let me turn on my audio delay first.
Oh my god. Isn't that Jay's thing?
Not last week, it wasn't.
I like how Joe's taking it over now.
Okay. Number 1, are you guys ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Okay. The first character in this cartoon that I'm going to mention is Miss Finster.
Recess.
It's Recess.
I can see her now with that frumpy
Hell
dress.
Yeah.
And she was always talking to the little nerdy kid who was like her narc.
Yep. Kind of, yeah. She used him a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the next 2 characters were Theodore J, TJ Detweiler.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, Ashley Spinelli.
Ah,
Spinelli.
Spinelli would have been a trigger also.
Okay. Next one. Scott Summers.
Next one.
Aurora Monroe.
Drawing a blank.
Next one.
Charles Xavier.
X-Men.
X-Men it is.
I wouldn't have got that one.
Yeah, I tried to make that one easy on the last one. But I was like, well, if you know X-Men a little bit, you'll know the first 2. But
yeah.
Okay. Number 3. Miss Keene.
Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls. You are
Miss
correct.
Keene was their kindergarten teacher.
Yes, she was.
Oh, yeah.
There was always like a
Forgot
will
about
they,
her.
won't they with Professor Utonium.
Yeah, that's right.
The second character was Princess Morbucks, and the third was Professor Utonium.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4, Susie Carmichael.
Rugrats.
Yeah.
Rugrats, yep. You are correct.
You stole my tricycle. No, I didn't.
The next two were Betty DeVille.
Mother of the
Yes.
Year.
Yep, and Dee Dee Pickles, which was the gimme.
Actual
Oh,
Mother
the
of the
gimme
Year.
for sure.
Okay, number 5, Dr. Draken.
Next one.
Ronald Stoppable.
Kim Possible.
It is Kim Possible.
Oh, okay. Nope.
Yes.
Not what I thought.
Call me, beat me, if you want to reach me, if you want to page me, that's okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, the third one was Kimberly Ann Possible.
Oh, is that the gimme?
I had a friend in college who his text message notification was the deet 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 deet.
That was really popular for a while, for sure.
Number 6, Man at Arms.
Next.
Man E-Faces.
Oh, I know it from Family Guy when Stewie talks about manny
I
faces.
know.
You'll guard the front because you have manny faces. I don't know the next.
Give me, yeah.
I was going to say, before I go to the last one, you both have to agree to go to the last one.
We get 3
Yeah,
guesses
fine.
apiece, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is it Transformers?
No.
Is it He-Man?
It is He-Man.
Oh.
Oh. I don't think I'm remembering well.
The last one was Skeletor.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, number 7, Wanda Lee.
Next.
Is that the Magic School Bus?
It's the Magic School Bus.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so the second one was Phoebe Therese, who you mentioned earlier. And of course, Valerie Frizzle herself.
Her first name was Valerie?
Yep.
It is. Mhm.
That's fierce. When you said
know.
Wanda, I was like, Fairly Odd Parents, but I was like, I don't think Cosmo and
No.
Wanda have last names. So that's why I got thrown off.
Okay, number 8. This one's kind of a fun one. Crunk.
Real Monsters?
No.
What's the next one?
Monkey.
Dexter's Laboratory?
Dexter's
Yes.
Laboratory. Yes.
Dial M for Monkey.
Dial M for Monkey.
Monkey, we need your help.
The last one was Mandark. So I
Yeah.
you guys would get
Man,
that one.
dark. Ha 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 ha.
Okay. Number 9, I think? Yeah, 9. Sure. Hoggish Greedley.
Is that Real Monsters? Or Real Monsters? Okay.
No.
Next.
Next.
Duke Nukem.
My garbage brain just wants to say Duke Nukem, but I know that's not really what it's called.
It's not. Yeah, that's not.
Oh
that's not.
man,
I know
I
it's
can
not
see it.
Futurama, but I want to say Futurama.
It's definitely not Futurama. I did not.
I was like,
include
Joe
adult
would know that
cartoons.
one, so I know that can't be right.
Yeah, I didn't include adult cartoons on this, so just
Oh,
FYI.
that's good
can
to
we
know.
get the third one then?
Yeah.
Okay. Linka.
Mortal Kombat.
No, I thought you would get this one, Joe.
Duke Nukem, Linka. Oh, is it Captain Planet and the Planeteers?
It's Captain Planet and the Planeteers
Definitely would have
Linka.
known that one.
with the power of wind.
Vind! I was thrown off because I always heard her name as Inca.
Oh, it's Linka.
Oh.
I thought
See,
you knew that.
My favorite fun tidbit about that show is that it premiered in the early 90s, and that's when the Soviet Union collapsed. So the intro had to change from the Soviet Union, Linka. It literally had to change to from Eastern Europe,
Eastern
Linka.
Europe. Okay, number 10, Duckworth.
Darkwing Duck.
No.
Good guess.
is a good
I
guess.
need the next one, though.
Launchpad McQuack.
DuckTales?
DuckTales.
Oh,
Darn.
woo. Do-do-do-do.
Oh, yeah, I love the intro to that one.
Woo. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba-doo-da. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last one was Huey Duck.
Huey, Louie, and Dewey.
Okay, number 11, Hagatha.
That's just my drag name.
That would be a good drag
Is
name,
that all
actually.
real monsters?
No.
Why is that so
Hagatha.
familiar? Say
That's
next
not
one.
familiar.
Sassette.
Okay, that actually threw me off more.
Next.
Yeah, next.
Okay, we're moving on to the third one. Gargamel.
Oh my god.
Smurfs?
It's the Smurfs.
What the fuck? How did I not?
You had your own Mitch McConnell moment.
Yeah, I did. I was just like, I know these names, and I'm like trying to plan them in place. This is one thing, is my memory's not good for that stuff.
Your parents hating you so much that they named you Hagatha.
Jesus, right?
Okay, number 12, Mrs. Puff.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
SpongeBob SquarePants, yeah.
It's SpongeBob SquarePants, yep.
What were the other two that you had for this one? I'm curious.
Gary.
Oh, the snail cat.
Yeah. And I love my last one because it's a dead giveaway, but I love it anyways. Squilliam Fancyson.
Just imagine him shirtless. Oh no, he's hot.
Oh no, he's hot.
A big fancy band now. Still playing the cash register, Squiddy.
Well, I was going to play at the Bubble Bowl, but our band can't make it.
I was wondering if your band would.
Your Squilliam impression is from that commercial, Jay. Well, I don't think so.
Squilliam is definitely my Ben Shapiro.
Well, I don't think because I don't have Barack Obama because I don't like Barack Obama.
Okay, number 13, Michigan J. Frog.
I don't know. Next one.
Claude Cat.
Drawing a blank.
Yeah, next one.
Joe, you good to move to the next one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Foghorn Leghorn.
Looney Tunes?
Oh, Tom. Yeah, well,
Looney
like Tom and
Tunes.
Jerry or Looney Tunes.
Oh, I say.
It's Looney Tunes, yep.
I didn't quite know which one to go with.
Yeah, so I tried to make it a little more obscure at first, but Michigan J. Frog is the frog that's like, hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal. And Claude Cat's just super obscure. So
Well, and Looney Tunes actually has been known for some questionable things they've done in the past, but they actually created their very own disclaimer that they play sometimes in front of classic airings of problematic episodes, and they own up to it, and they own up to the animators of their time, and they say these cartoons were a product of their time, and while those ideals were accepted back then, they are absolutely not expected now. And they kind of own up to it, and they say that to never air them again would be a mistake, so they air them now so that people can learn from them, and they can watch them, and they can learn about how they are wrong. And that's very big of them.
I actually very much appreciate when shows do that, when they're just like, listen, this was a bad decision. At that time, it was fine. Now, it's not okay. But it's kind of like airing history still in a way to see how society has shifted.
with something that is that embedded in the zeitgeist of America, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Number 14, The Great Gazoo.
No clue. Next.
Nope. No idea.
Mr. Slate.
Invader Zim?
No.
Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Definitely no. I should have put this one on here.
Oh, next clue?
I don't know. Next.
Last, Bam Bam Rebel.
Oh, the Flintstones.
The Flintstones?
The Flintstones, that was Jay.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a selling one, because the other two I don't remember at all.
Yeah,
You're at the DMV and they say, Bam Bam Rubble.
Bam, bam!
The Great Gazoo was that little green alien that popped up in the last
Oh,
little bit
yeah.
of the show.
Oh,
He was kind of that-
Yeah.
He kind of connected the Flintstones with the Jetsons when they did that
Jetsons.
crossover. Yeah.
And Mr. Slate was Barney
His
and Fred's
boss.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's why that name sounded somewhat familiar. I was like, that one triggered something, but I don't know where.
And once again, Family Guy, when the Great Gazoo shows up and he's like, "Not now, Great Gazoo. I want to be alone." He's like, "It's not always about you, Fatso. Maybe I wanted to talk." And then Bam Bam, Bam Bam. You want to take it from here, Bam Bam, Bam Bam Bam. You want to take it from here, Emerald? Bam.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Okay. Very last. Harold Berman.
Hey Arnold.
It's Hey Arnold.
Yeah,
wow,
that's
Joe,
right.
Good on you.
Arnold was the bully with the tooth that stuck up to his bottom lip.
Yep. He was. Yep. And then the second one was Brainy, because I wanted to call out the fact that they had a character named Brainy.
He had glasses and he had spiky hair.
That one would have made me go, "Oh, Pinky and the Brain."
Wasn't he the one that would breathe heavily over Helga's shoulder and she would punch him in the face?
Yeah, and speaking of, my last one was Helga Pataki.
Yeah.
Which, that was...
Yeah.
There was an episode where they kind of dive into Helga and her whole family dynamic and like how her dad is like this big ultra CEO. Her mom is like this depressed alcoholic that stays home all day. And her sister is like an ultra overachiever who ends up in bed depressed for a week because she got an A- at school. Helga, girl, I understand your life and the way you are.
Yeah.
Well, Beardos, it's past noon, and you know what that means.
Cartoon block is over.
To the soap operas.
Ew.
And the music's coming back on. So, and it's Days of Our Lives this time for some reason.
Oh, no.
But if you'd like to call in and request a special cartoon, you can reach us at 405-999-2242.
And Beardos, just like those classic cartoons that we fondly remember, we're kooky and crazy, so we've got to go. But if you would like to help us out, make sure you go and subscribe to our podcast so you can get reminders every Sunday when we release a new episode. We also post frequent updates on all of our social medias for any additional sundries that we may add to the market.
And don't forget to rate us 5 stars and leave a review. Those reviews are what get us found by more listeners like you, and just each one of you telling a friend about the podcast will double our growth.
And I want you to bam bam on your keyboard to our website, beardsandsundries.com.
Be careful. Put down a tarp first, perhaps.
Maybe some sawdust.
So go check out our website, Todd, because you're on it now. And follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter.
When's before what, Todd?
I don't know, Margo.
I don't know, Margo. Please comment and make suggestions. We love to hear from you. If you message us privately on those social media sites, we'd love to respond. So please keep up. You can also email us at beardsandsundries@gmail.com.
So, from all of us poorly drawn yet well filled in characters here at the Beards and Sundries Market, make sure to
love yourself. Bam, bam!
That's a great way to love yourself. And we already love you.
Bye.
Bye, Beardo.
Bam!